Well, hi, friends. Dr. Melissa here, your friendly neighborhood anti diet and body shame smashing East Asian medicine doctor and skin expert. Thanks so much for tuning in today. If this is your first time watching my channel, welcome. And if you've been here before, hi again. I'm so excited that you're here, and I'd love it so much if you would subscribe to my channel and also like and share this video with anyone you think might benefit from my holistic approach to skincare and wellness practices. Um, I want to welcome you to another episode of Makeup Free Monday, the show where I give you barefaced facts about skincare and wellness topics. Today's episode is the episode four in my series of breaking down your home care routine. Now, so far we've covered cleanser, we've covered toner, and we've covered treatments, aka serums, essences, and ampules. Oh my. So now it is time to lock it all in and talk about moisturizer.
Wake up, hydrate, don't worry about the makeup. Dr. Melissa's on your side. She's a cool doctor, gonna slay your body shaming ways. You're gonna take care of yourself today. Everybody, love your body. She's my self-care doc. Everybody, love your body. She's my self-care doc.
All right, so let's get into it. Moisturizer can come in many different forms, but their concept that surrounds it is pretty similar. Moisturizers tend to fall into about 5 different textures, give or take. So I wanted to start by talking about them one by one. So the first texture that you're going to find out there is gel, a moisture gel. This is the lightest texture, and it's great for the warmer months when your skin is creating more of its own natural oils, also known as sebum. It's also really great year round for some oilier folks or some more inflamed type folks. I thought I put a bottle over here, but apparently I did not, to show you. One of my favorite gels is the Hush Hydrate Gel from Hale and Hush, because it can also be worn as an overnight mask. Pretty great. The second texture which is a little bit heavier, is the lotion texture. These usually come in bottles like this. Usually a airless pump bottle is what you're going to find most often. Sometimes old school, you'll find some with an air pump, but airless pumps tend to keep things a little bit more sanitary. Now, lotion texture is exactly what it sounds like. It's sort of a light lotion. It's good for medium, medium coverage. Normal skin can also be good for like combination skin and for things like soothing irritation. Uh, I personally use a lotion in the springtime, but sometimes I have to switch to a gel in the summer. Now, the next is probably the one that you're most familiar with, which is a cream. Comes in the jars. And creams tend to be a really beautiful texture that can be formulated for all skin types. Make sure if you are using a moisturizer in a jar that you're using a spatula, so you're not going to be contaminating your moisturizer by sticking your fingers in there. Also, always wash your hands before you wash your face, but we've already talked about that a number of times. Now, as a side note to the creams, sometimes the creams can be whipped and they're a little bit lighter textured, um, or they can be a really sort of dense, heavier cream. And those are great for mature skin or in the winter time. Now, next we'll be talking about oil. Um, we talked a little bit about oil. This is one of my favorite oils, the Astrum Beauty Oil from Realia Skincare. And we covered that a little bit in the serums because a lot of the facial oils these days are being marketed as serums. But some of them, like this one, is also just called a beauty oil, and this is a great moisturizer. We can use this to either by itself or to supercharge another type of moisturizer. It'll go on as the last step in the evening, unless you're using a balm or an ointment, which is our fifth texture. Now, a balm or an ointment, this is another Realia product called Aurora Balm. You can see it's a really thick texture. It's often occlusive, which means it forms a barrier, or partially occlusive, which forms a partial barrier. Now, these balms and ointments are great for things like extreme weather, wind, snow, cold, hot, but it can also be great post treatment if you're getting a heavier duty thing like a peel or a needling treatment. But it's also beneficial just regular time for those with mature skin, but it can also help with things like healing a hydrolipid barrier issue or any sort of broken skin. So I hope that makes sense for you. Feel free to ask me any questions if you have those come up. Now, talking about the moisture itself, usually ingredients in moisturizers, besides, of course, any fillers that you might find, they're going to fall into three categories, which are humectants, emollients, and occlusives. So bear with me here for a second. So let's start with humectants. Humectants are hydrators. Simply put, they pull the water out of the environment, out of the air, and it seals it right inside your epidermis. One you may be familiar with is hyaluronic acid. That one can hold a lot of water in it, and it comes in many different molecular weights, and depending on the molecular weight is going to be where in the epidermis it is hydrating. Other things like glycerin is a great humectant. Sodium PCA mimics the salt in your skin, so that's a really wonderful humectant. Also things like allotonin, sorbitol, and then of course the glycols, the propylene glycol and the butylene glycol, which can be somewhat controversial depending on who you talk to. Personally speaking, as long as they are cosmetic grade ingredients, they don't seem to cause irritation in too many people, and they can actually be beneficial for creating some hydration. Now, of course, you don't want to eat those things, but most of the time, your moisturizer is really not going to get next to your lips. Now, the next piece we want to talk about is the emollients. Emollients can come in a gel form, they can come in the lotion form, they can come in the creams, they can come in the ointments. These are the oil-based moisturizers, and they are designed to rebuild the lost lipids in your skin. Emollients hydrate, protect, and smooth out the skin. So they're great for dry skin. They're great for rough skin. It also acts as a balancing agent for the skin's microbiome, which is incredibly important for our hydrolipid barrier. And it also helps to reduce inflammation in the skin. So some of the more common emollients that you'll see on labels are things like butters, like shea or cocoa butter, lanolin, royal jelly and beeswax, coconut oil, jojoba oil, sesame oil, almond oil, other plant oils. And then something like cetyl alcohol, which is actually a moisturizing alcohol, which sounds really counterintuitive, but it does actually have some great research behind it. Also, squalane, but squalane falls into two categories, so it's a little bit special. Squalane can also fall into the category of occlusive. Now, an occlusive, like I said before when I was talking about balms and ointments, these are moisturizers that act as a physical barrier for your skin to prevent transepidermal water loss, or TEWL, TEWL. Now, these are going to be waxes, silicones, or oils. And the consistency of these ingredients are very thick, which is why you're going to find them in the balms and the ointments. So they're highly recommended for things like dry skin, very dry skin, super mature skin, and then those suffering from conditions like eczema. Some of the things that you'll find on a label beyond the squalane, of course, is going to be things like mineral oil, which is another controversial ingredient. I personally don't use any petroleum products in my office, but they do definitely have their place. Dimethicone is another one, as long as you're using a cosmetic grade dimethicone. It will not be as comedogenic or pore clogging as some others. Now, gotta say real quick about occlusives, if you are using an occlusive or you have occlusive ingredients in your moisturizer, please make sure that you are cleansing your face in the mornings. It will help, because those occlusive ingredients, they are making a physical barrier. So it will clog your pores. It will possibly create some problems down the line. So I hope you enjoyed my crash course on moisturizer. Before I go, I just want to talk about squalane one more time, because squalane is one of those great little things. They can come from olives. They can come from sugarcane. There are certain brands out there doing it from sugarcane. They don't really pull it from whales anymore, but in certain parts of the world, that's definitely still a thing. So check your labels. So that's all I have for you today. I hope that you learned something new this afternoon. Make sure to like and subscribe to my channel to get more content like this. Now, as for our next episode, I'm going to be taking a couple weeks break so that I can go visit my family in Oregon. So I'll miss you all, but please join me again on March 27th for our next episode, which will be the 5th in the series on breaking down the home care routine. Number 5, we're going to talk all about environmental protection and SPF. So until then, take good care of yourself and good care of each other. And don't forget to hydrate.
Every